Okay, so section 14 on the zeta. We're going to look at equations and inequations. And I think this bit here should be quite straightforward. So solving a very basic equation. Just as a recap, we multiply out 2 times x and then 2 times the 4. And what we do to one side, we do to the other. So we want x on one side and the number on the other. So how do we get rid of the 8? First of all, we take away 8 from both sides. So that gives us 2x is 2. How do we get rid of the 2 here? Well, it's multiplying, so we need to divide both sides by 2. So that becomes x, and this becomes 1. Okay. Check you've done it right by substituting the 1 back into the beginning. 1 plus 4 is 5, times the 2 is 10. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. Formula equations are the same again. You just got to read the question and write an equation. So in this case, it's saying the perimeter of the rectangle is 40, calculate x. So perimeter of a rectangle is going to be this, plus this, and then it'll be that multiplied by 2, and that'll equal 40. 2 of these plus 2 of these equals 40. And then you're breaking out brackets and then doing the same again. So they're pretty straightforward. What I'd like to look at is equations with some fractions in them, and then solving inequations where we've got the greater than or less than. So here we go. First of all, this looks quite nasty. You're solving an equation with a fraction in it. And the first thing you want to do here is to make it look nice. So let's get rid of the 2 and let's get rid of the 5. So how do we do that? Well, we'll multiply the 2 and 5 together. So we'll say 2 times 5 is 10. And then we multiply everything by 10. That will then cancel out the 2 and the 5. Okay? So I'll do the 10. I'll end up with 10x divided by 2. Take away 10. We're going timesing this by 10. And timesing this by 10. I have to times everything by 10. And that's going to equal 10 over 5. 3 take away x. So what I've done here is I've rewritten this divide by 5. I've kind of put it to the front of the equation, and then I've put a 10 in front of the equation as well. Okay, so I could still rewrite that as divide by 5. That's exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing as what I've just written here. Okay. And in this case, I had to multiply both these terms by 10 because they're separate terms. This is one big term. Okay, so I times that whole. I could times this by 10, but I've written it this way. So let's just simplify that. 10 divided by 2 is going to give me 5x. 10 divided by 5 gives me 2. And then 3 take away x. Okay? So the first thing you do here is multiply your denominators together, kind of like smiling across with the fractions. So 2 times 5 is 10, and then we're multiplying everything by the 10. Let's multiply our brackets out now. So 5x minus 10 is going to be equal to 2 times 3. It's going to give me 6. 2 times minus x is negative 2x. And then we just want x's on one side, numbers on the other. So let's start with the negative 2x. How do I get rid of that? Well, add 2x to both sides. So if I add 2x to both sides, that's going to cancel out the 2x here, and it's going to pop up over here as 7x. Now I want to get rid of the take away 10. What's the opposite of take away 10? Add 10. Add 10 to both sides, and I've got 7x is equal to 60. And then to get rid of the 7 here, what's the opposite of multiply by 7? Divide by 7. So that's going to give me x is equal to 16 divided by 7. Simple as that. So to start off with, we are multiplying through by the 2 times the 5, just to simplify the expression, the equation, sorry. And then we rearrange everything to get x on one side, a number on the other, and to do that, we just do the opposite to each thing that we're moving. Okay, so to get rid of negative 2x, we add 2x. To get rid of negative 10, we add 10. Because what I'm doing is I'm adding 10 to both sides, so it cancels out, and it will pop up over that side. Okay. So yeah, pretty straightforward. Let's do an inequation. Okay, so instead of an equal sign, we've got this is a less than sign. If it points the other way, it's a greater than sign. We treat these all exactly the same as equations. However, if we multiply or divide by negative, we flip the sign. Okay, so the sign in the middle. But here we change direction. That's the only real rule we've got. Okay, so let's just start off. We've got 3x is less than, and what we'll do is we'll multiply the bracket out first. We'll say that's 6x, take away 6, take away 12. Let's simplify that. 3x is less than 6x, take away 6, take away 12, that's going to be take away 18. Now I want to get x's on one side, so I'll put them onto the left hand. Well, do either. I'll put them onto the right hand side. I'd rather have a positive x than a negative x. Okay. So if I do that, I'll end up with 0 is less than 3x, take away 18. Because what I've done here is I've taken away 3x from both sides. Okay. So right now it doesn't totally make sense, but that's okay. I will put the 18 to the other side, so we'll add 18 to both sides. So 18 is less than 3x. How do I get rid of that 3? Divide both sides by 3. So that's going to be 6 less than x. Now the only other rule is it's good form to have the x on the left. So if I flip the equation round, I need to flip the sign. If x is less than 6, I need to flip that sign round at the end. So sorry, yeah, if 6 is less than x, then x is greater than 6. It's like it's the same kind of backwards and forwards. So when we move that x over, we change that sign at the end. Okay. But we didn't have to multiply or divide by a negative. Okay, so that was the other little rule that we have, but that only affects your very last line. So we do everything the same as if it's an equation. We've just got a slightly different sign in the middle. So let's go down a little bit. Let's go to the next one. So solve algebraically. So first thing we'll do, write it out. 19 plus x is greater than 15. Let's break out the bracket. Plus 3x, take away 6. Okay, 3 times the x, 3 times negative 2. So I can rewrite that as 19 plus x. Oops. Greater than, and I'll put the 15 and the 6 together to give me 9 plus 3x. Okay. So now I want all the x's on one side, all the numbers on the other. So let's put the x to the right just now to keep the x's positive. Okay, so that's going to be 19 greater than 9 plus 2x. Okay, so that's taking an x away from both sides. Now let's put the 9 to the other side. So take away 9 from both sides. So 10 is greater than 2x. So just to recap that, all I did there was take away x from both sides. So I'll just draw a little method line over here. So if I take away x from both sides, that disappears. That becomes 2x. And then to move the 9 over, I take away 9 from both sides. That becomes 0. That becomes 10. And on this one, to get rid of the 2, I'm doing 2 times. So I want to divide both sides by 2. So what that looks like is doing that and doing that, which means that this becomes 1. Okay? But that was quite messy on your working, I think. So that's why I just put the method line here, and then I write divide by 2, and then I know it's going to become 5 is greater than x. Okay, let's flip it round. X is less than 5. Okay, 5 is greater than x, therefore x will be less than 5. Nothing difficult at all. Nothing difficult. Let's go for our very last example. I think I've still got time. Let me see. Yeah, still a few minutes left. So, like we did on the first one, 6 times 3 is 18. Let's multiply through by 18. Okay. So I'll say that 18 multiplied by 2x divided by 3. Take away 18 times 5 divided by 6 equals 18 times 2x. Now you could be quite clever here and made your life a bit simpler by saying, well, if I multiply through, no, you're better off just doing this. Don't make things complicated. So let's try and simplify just now. So 18 and 3, that will cancel out. That's going to give me 6. So 18 divided by 3 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. So that's going to reduce to 12x. Okay. At this point, how can I simplify this? Let's say 18 times 5. So it's going to be 50. That's 90. So I've got 90 divided by 6. 6 into 9 goes 1. Remainder 3. 6 into 30 is 5. So that just leaves 15. 18 times 2 is 36x. Same as last time, let's get x's to one side, numbers to the other. Okay. I would take away 12x from both sides. So I've got negative 15 is going to be equal to 24x. And then I want to get rid of the 24, so I'll say negative 15 divided by 24 is equal to x. Simple as that. The question did say to give your answer in its simplest form, so the only other thing I would say here is, well, these numbers divide by 3, because 5 plus 1 is 6, 6 divides by 3, 4 plus 2 is 6, and 6 divides by 3. So okay, the sum of the numbers add up to a number that divides by 3, divides by 3. So 15 divided by 3 is going to give me 5, and 24 divided by 3 is going to give me 8. So an extra little mark there at the end for that. I could also rewritten that as x is equal to minus 5 over 8. It doesn't matter. It's good form having the x on the left. But in this case, obviously nothing changes because it's an equal sign and not a greater than or less than. Okay. So that's a quick run through of these. Very simple, rearranging equations. The only thing to watch out for is at the end. If you flip round, make sure you flip the sign. And if you do happen to multiply or divide by a negative, then your sign in the middle would flip as well. Okay, that's your only two rules of concern. Thanks very much.